Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to today's weekly Sohbet and Dhikr. Sorry about the time, it's a strange time this week. I did say that the clocks were changing the other week. It's something we do in the UK, and because the clocks change, then we end up having to work around it. And today I was feeling a little bit tired as well, so I had to sort of wake myself up a bit first. But alhamdulillah, here we are. And it's I wish you were all well wherever you are in the world. I hope you're well. Salam alaikum to my friend. It's good to see you. Well, in the UK now we're coming into spring. It's April in the UK. Obviously it's Shaban in the am I getting this right? Sorry, I've been tired today. But yeah, we're getting spring here at the moment. Things are starting to brighten up. It's beautiful to see the spring blossom. And those of us in the UK should give thanks to Allah for, the nicer weather coming, and appreciate, this is something, I don't know how many people really appreciate the seasons these days, because we should appreciate the seasons. I mean, there's tremendous blessing within every season. Even Imam Ali, may Allah bless his soul, he said that, during the winter, that it gets cold, and all of the plants and the trees, they start to dry up and lose their leaves. But then, when the spring comes, then, like the new shoots come, and, things become green again. And Imam Ali said it's the same with human beings. That when the winter comes, then we feel a bit more sort of like we slow down and, stuff. But then when the spring comes, then it rejuvenates us. So, even Imam Ali commented on this. And yet, which is interesting, because you don't really get seasons in the Middle East. You don't get seasons in Saudi Arabia. Probably later on when he moved to Iraq, that is slightly more seasonal by Iraq and Iran, but you don't get seasons in Saudi Arabia. It's just hot. A lot of the Middle East is like that. But of course in Britain and in anywhere that's temperate around the world, whether northern or southern hemisphere, whether it's North America or Russia or even southern Australia and New Zealand, South America, you get very pronounced seasons, and it gets very cold in the winter. The days actually become shorter. Obviously each day is 24 hours, but the daylight hours become much shorter. And in the summer, the daylight hours become very long. In the next couple of months, it's going to get light at something like 4:30 in the morning, and it's not going to go dark until 9 o'clock at night. Really long daylight hours. But in the winter, the hours of daylight could be, as little as something like, 9:30 till maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's really short. And this affects us as Muslims, of course, because Ramadan migrates throughout the solar year, because the Hijri calendar is shorter by about 10 days or so than the Western calendar, which is based upon the orbit of the Earth around the Sun. So because of it, Ramadan gets earlier every year in comparison to the months on the Western calendar, and in comparison with the seasons, which is what I'm actually getting at. So we tend to find that it's like now we're going to be having Ramadan in spring, and the days are quite moderate, they're not too long. But a few years ago, Ramadan was in the middle of summer. I was giving people advice then, if the fasts are too long and it's really too much for you, you are allowed to shorten the fasts. without any, sin or anything, because you're still fasting. But Islam doesn't require that you fast for 19 or 19 and a half hours each day, which is what it is in midsummer in this country. And again, this is something about hikmah. We've got to have hikmah within Islam, which is wisdom. A lot of people talk about ilm. And firstly, Imam Ali, he mentioned that ilm is in different types. And the ilm meaning knowledge, sorry, I should clarify. Knowledge in English is in Arabic, it's ilm. And this is where ulama comes from, because an alim or ulama, it comes from the same root as ilm. So it's people that have knowledge. And if they are, in that way, of course, if they don't have knowledge, then you have to question if they're really ulama. No disrespect to those who are. But, you get a lot of people these days who don't seem to have a lot of knowledge, and they're preaching from the pulpit. And often, it's not so bad if it's soft, but if it's harsh on people, and they're talking from a position where they don't understand things, it's very dangerous. So, it's always worth keeping in mind that ulama comes from the root, which means knowledge. So it's the people who have knowledge, and if they don't have knowledge, then they're not really ulama. But going back to what I was saying, ilm is in different types. This is something that Imam Ali pointed out, peace be upon him. And there's the ilm which you hear, but just because you hear it, it hasn't actually penetrated your heart. You haven't digested it. And then there's the ilm that is actually, you digest it, it goes within your heart. And he said that only the kind which actually goes inside you and you digest it is of any benefit to you. The kind that you hear, but you don't understand, you never really processed it and digested it, that knowledge is useless to you. It's just something you've heard, because you can hear anything and remember it, but you don't understand it. Even somebody asks you, you can parrot fashion say it back to them, but you don't understand it. What benefit is it? Whereas knowledge that's being digested, you then put into action in your own life and you live it. And this is very, very important, because otherwise what's the point? What's the point of it? It's a duty upon every Muslim to gain knowledge, but why is it a duty upon every Muslim to gain knowledge? It's not a duty upon every Muslim to gain knowledge for the sake of gaining knowledge because it's a pointless activity. It's a duty upon every Muslim to gain knowledge because it is a useful thing to do. It benefits them and it benefits other people, if they go about it in the right way and if they understand what they're doing. But at the same time, there's another dimension to this. You've got knowledge and you've got wisdom. Now, knowledge is useful, but if you have knowledge and you don't have wisdom, then that can also be dangerous, because wisdom, like a person can have a lot of wisdom, but they might not have a lot of knowledge, but they won't really do anything too stupid, because wisdom guides them. And wisdom is knowing not stuff. Knowledge is knowing stuff. You know facts, figures, you know about, the water cycle, or how a computer works, or something like this. That's knowledge. But wisdom is knowing what to do. Not how to do stuff, but what to do, and whether it's the right thing to do or not. That's wisdom. And actually, wisdom is much more important than knowledge, because if you have lots of knowledge but you don't have any wisdom, you're going to make a real mess of things. In fact, it can be more dangerous if you've got not a lot of knowledge and you've got no wisdom, because you could use that knowledge in completely the wrong way, which could be really, really harmful to other people. And I'm not just talking about religious knowledge there. Whether that's scientific knowledge or religious knowledge or knowledge of politics or anything. If you have no wisdom, but you have lots of that kind of knowledge, in whichever field, it can be very dangerous. So wisdom is actually even more important than knowledge. And then, of course, we should think about, well, how do we gain wisdom? How do we gain knowledge? There's different ways you can gain knowledge. You can gain knowledge from a good teacher who is either very qualified in from university degrees and stuff, and also understands what they're talking about. It's very important they also understand what they're talking about. I've even met people with degrees and stuff that don't. But Or, I mean, even if they taught themselves, but they also understand what they're talking about. You can gain a lot of knowledge from people like this. Some of the best people is if they've got like an apprenticeship system. The Sufis traditionally use this, and even historically the scholars of fiqh and hadith, they also used it. They were apprentices of the famous scholars in those fields. So this is one of the best ways, because if you actually spend time with a master professional within that field, then you can benefit a lot more, because you're not just studying in a classroom and then getting your qualification and going. You're actually seeing how he's operating or how she's operating, how they are doing their work on a day-to-day basis, which is even more beneficial than if you're just learning from listening to a speech and then going home, or you're just learning from books. But of course, all of this has a place. All of this is useful if you use it in the right way. And not everybody can do that. Not everybody can be on an apprenticeship. Not everybody can spend that amount of time. But if they've got good sense, they would benefit from listening to some talks, or whether that's in person or whether that's recordings. I mean, you can get them on YouTube and stuff now. So many different ways. But and also from books. But at the same time, it's good to have a teacher and a guide, someone who really understands in depth. And if you have any issues, you can always ask them, and they can help you on the way. But it's very important, if you choose someone like that you choose carefully, because you're putting a lot of trust in that person and a lot of reliance on them. So you want to make sure that they are someone who is humble, who's someone who's not too bossy, someone who's not trying to put you down, but someone who is always helping you up, not someone who's always supporting you. And the other thing to look at is look at your own heart, because if when you're listening to them, it's making sense to you and it's helping you be in a more constructive way, you're not becoming more angry or upset, but this anger is going down, you're becoming more focused, understanding what you're being taught. These are signs to look out for. If you've got those, that's good. If you're with someone who's insulting you or putting you down, or doesn't have, which actually comes from, they don't have good adab and akhlaq, then that's something to be very careful of. And why would you spend so much time with them? It doesn't matter if they're wearing a turban on their head and they have a big beard. I mean, so what? Anybody can do that. It's adab and akhlaq is very important. Whether the person has manners, respect, etiquette, is good in how they interact with you. They're friendly, and they're a decent person generally. I mean, you can't be a good Muslim if you're not a decent person. These things go hand in hand with each other. So having a good teacher it's a very good thing, but also be very careful who you choose to teach you. Don't just let anybody teach you, because that can lead to a lot of problems. Even if that person has a lot of knowledge. I mean, if they've got a lot of knowledge, but they've got an agenda, and they're trying to bully you or control you too much, that's something to be careful of. I mean, how are you going to benefit from the knowledge if they're brainwashing you or something, and you might not realize it at first? But it's things to be careful of, because a lot of people are very visual. They look at a person who is popular. So, for instance, some of these, they become like TV celebrities on Muslim TV and shows around the world. And because they're in that role where lots of people are already looking to them, people don't question. They turn off that questioning faculty, and they're bought in by their fame. In much the same way people are bought into the fame of other kinds of celebrities, but not questioning, well, are these celebrities good people? Are these celebrities good role models? I'm not knocking any, but just, some of them aren't. And yet people are putting so much attention on individuals like this for no benefit. I mean, what you're investing all your time, sometimes money, buying products and stuff that help these people. Well, think about what you're spending your money on. Think about where you're spending your time. Is it fulfilling? What are you getting out of it? Is it really benefiting you? If it is, well, good, continue. I'm not going to stop anyone from doing anything, even if it's supporting their local football team or something, or an international football team. It's not my thing, but yeah, you know, I've helped people with that because I see the passion. I respect it. But you know, look at where you're spending your time. Look at where you're spending your money. Is it worth it? And this goes for anything, actually. It's not just for people who are teachers of religion, but actually the same principle applies to all different fields. And a lot of people are not careful these days in why they're investing their time and money. They're bought into trends. And this is something to be careful of, because you can be swept away like you're at sea and you're swept away and you lose control. Be careful not to become like that. And it's the same if you come across a very charismatic religious teacher, you can have the same issues. Sometimes even more so, because people believe that God is speaking through that person. Well, no matter how pious or how much taqwa that the person has, I mean, they're still a human being. So, you know, you've got to keep that in mind. And, you know, we shouldn't be taking... I mean, there's actually a verse in the Quran that we shouldn't take... well, it's actually warning us about the Jews and the Christians, that they took their rabbis and priests as lords over them. Well, why is the Quran warning us about this and saying that some among the Jews and the Christians in the past, they took their rabbis and priests as lords over them? It's a warning for us Muslims. Don't do that. Don't make your imams, sheikhs, molanas to the degree that they become lords over you. Be careful. But at the same time, if a person is very humble, if a person is genuine, sincere, kind, always supportive, and you know that you can see that character in them, and they're not asking you to do anything outrageous, they're just supporting you to become a better human being and a better person. This is the kind of teacher you need to look for, because such a person is obviously worth spending time with, and you benefit from them greatly. And in these rare kind of people, you feel at peace in their presence. You will just feel it in your heart. Not like the euphoria you feel with a celebrity, but just you will feel peace in your heart. You'll feel comfortable because you know you're with someone who's genuine. But going back to my earlier point, there's this balance between knowledge and wisdom. And there's different kinds of knowledge. Knowledge itself, just to recap, knowledge is the kind that you can hear, but just because you hear it, you might not have understood. That's one kind of knowledge, but you can hear it and recite it back. But then there's a kind of knowledge which you hear, which you process, you digest, it goes inside your heart. It actually becomes part of who you are because you've digested it so much. That is the most beneficial kind of knowledge. And this is from something that Imam Ali, peace be upon him, mentioned. But also the Quran points out about hikmah. The Quran actually says that we should give dawah, we should invite people to the deen through hikmah, through wisdom. Interesting, it doesn't say through knowledge, it says through wisdom. And I think that's a point that many people don't quite understand today. It's through wisdom. And that's understanding what to do, how to approach people, how to do what is the best thing. Not just like chatting a load of things that the Quran says, scientific facts and things like this, which you see some people do, but knowing how to approach people, knowing how to be with people, knowing how to respect them, even as they are already, with their own customs, their own way of life. Even if you don't agree with it all, but just respect that Allah has created them, and Allah has given them something too. then you can interact with them on a level which is blessed, because you've got respect for them. That will encourage them to have respect for you. But if there's no respect there, then, and I see this sometimes with people who give dawah. So it's interesting, the Quran says this: give dawah with wisdom. Anyway, I think that's enough talking. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I will start the zikr, inshallah. Get some water first. Bismillah. You know, I read some years ago that there was an experiment they conducted in Japan where they actually got little samples of water and they said different things to the water. So some samples they would say to it that I love you, I love you. Another one they'd say I hate you, I hate you. Another one they would say, I don't know, God or something. Another one they would say the devil. And then they froze these samples of water. And then afterwards, when they brought the samples out, all the samples that had a positive thing said about them, they crystallized into beautiful crystals. But the ones which had something bad said to them, they crystallized into something that didn't look very nice. It was quite horrible in some cases. It's all water. So there's something about water that if you focus your attention on it, and I mean, this is why we have water when we do dhikr. And of course we're remembering God's names, remembering the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And all of this good vibes goes into the water, and then afterwards, Bismillah, we drink it. And the Sufis have said that this makes the water into medicine that is beneficial. So, alhamdulillah. Before we start the zikr, we should check our intentions. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nawaitul abin, nawaitul usla, nawaitul kalwa, nawaitul itikaf, nawaitul suluk, nawaitul riyadda lillahi ta'ala fi hada jami. Worship your Lord till He grants you certainty. O Allah, make this our endeavour easy for us, and grant us success in that which you love and which pleases you. Make us to be followers of your most noble Sharia, your beloved and chosen Prophet. Salam, Ameen. Peace be upon all emissaries, especially the master of emissaries, Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. We begin with the kalima shahada, declaration of faith within Islam. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. We seek Allah's forgiveness by reciting Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. أستغفر العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه إنه هو التواب الرحيم يا مسبب الأسباب يا مفاتيح الأبواب يا مقلب قلوب والأبصار يا دليل المتخيرين يا غاية المستحيين يا حي يا قيوم يا ذو الجلال والإكرام وأفوض أمري الله إن الله بصير بالعباد رابط الشريفة. Direct your heart to the hearts of your sheikhs. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Salawat to Shuf. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. His blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad and his noble family. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa sallim. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن من العسر يسرا إن من العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن من العسر يسرا إن من العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن من العسر يسرا إن من العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن من العسر يسرا إن من العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن من العسر العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. صلوات الشريفة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم. 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 أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربي هديتني من الملك ولم تعني من تواريخ حديث فاتر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفاني مسلما ولكني بالصالحين أمان بالله صدق الله العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. إلا الشرف النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وأصحابه الكرام وإلى وحي أنبياء والمرسلين وقدماء شرعهم وإلى إمامة أبواب وإلى مشيخنا في تariqat Naqshbandiyat آلية كزتان عليك واجقان. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. There is no God but the God. This is not the Muslim God. It's not a God unique to Muslims. This is the God of all of creation, creator of universes, the God of all the religions. In Arabic, we say, La ilaha illallah. 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 Muhammedur Rasulullah sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم إلا الشرف نبي إلا الشرف نبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلي وصحبه الكرام وإذا وعيسى سادتنا وصديقيون الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The remembrance of God. In Arabic we recite Allah. Allah, 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 Allahu Allah, 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 Allahu 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 Allah, Allahu Allah, 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 Allah. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم hey, 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 hey. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الله الله حق، 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 الله 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 يا قيوم 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 حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Now we call upon some of the beautiful names of Allah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yahu, Yahu, Ya Daim. Yahu, Yahu, Ya Daim. Yahu, Yahu, Ya Daim. Allah, Yahu, Ya Daim. Ya Daim, Ya Daim, Ya Daim, Ya Allah. Ya Daim, Ya Daim, Ya Daim, Ya Allah. Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Allah. Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Allah. Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Allah. Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Allah. Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Allah. Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Allah. Ya Ghafar, Ya Ghafur, Ya Ghafar, Ya Ghafur. Ya Ghafar, Ya Ghafur, Ya Ghafar, Ya Ghafur. Ya Sata, Ya Fata, Ya Sata, Ya Fata, Ya Sata, Ya Fata, Ya Sata, Ya Fata, Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Allah. Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Allah. Ya Muin, Ya Muin, Ya Muin, Ya Allah. Ya Muin, Ya Muin, Ya Muin, Ya Allah. Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Allah. Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Allah. Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Allah. Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Allah. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Ya Hanan, Ya Manan, Ya Hanan, Ya Manan, Ya Hanan, Ya Manan, Ya Hanan, Ya Manan, Ya Diyan, Ya Subhan, Ya Diyan, Ya Subhan, Ya Diyan, Ya Subhan, Ya Diyan, Ya Subhan, Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan, Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan, Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan, Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan, Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Allah. Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Allah. Ya Salam, Ya Salam, Ya Salam, Ya Allah. Ya Salam, Ya Salam, Ya Salam, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel, wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Salawatu shukr. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم. 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 اللهم صل صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم 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 صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم صلي ربي وسلم على جميع أنبياء ومرسلين وعلى الكل أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين على أشرف الأنبياء سيدنا محمد الصلوات على أفضل الأنبياء سيدنا محمد الصلوات على أكمل الأنبياء سيدنا محمد الصلوات صلوات الله وملائكته وأنبيائه ورسوله وجميع كوكي على محمد وعلى آل محمد عليه وعليهم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته ووري الله تبارك وتعالى أن سلتنا شعب رسول الله أجمعين وعن تبعنا بهم بإحسان وعن مجتدين مدين وعن علماء متقين وعن أولياء الصالحين وعن شيخنا في تariqat Naqshbandi آلية كرسنا الرحمة الزكية ونوت العذرة مباركة ورضى الله تعالى علينا من بركاتهم وفيداتهم دائما والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. بسم الله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. We begin by asking Allah to bless the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him and his noble family, peace be upon them all, and upon all of the previous prophets and their noble families and their noble descendants, but especially upon the household of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, upon Imams Ali, Hassan, Hussein, Zain al-Abidin, Jafar as-Sadiq, all of the Ahlul Bayt, the Sahaba Ikram, the righteous caliphs, the scholars, the saints, and especially my sheikhs, Sufi Abdullah and Maulana Sheikh Nazim. Ya Allah, raise their stations in your divine presence. Bless their souls for all eternity. O Allah, shower also your blessings upon Sheikh Sharif Hidayatullah Sunun Gunanjati, upon Sheikh Yusuf and all the Wali Songo in Indonesia, also upon Sheikh Adang Badruddin of Cyprus, and upon my beloved father. Ya Allah, bless all their souls, raise them in your divine presence, bless them for all eternity. O Allah, shower your blessings upon my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, especially at this time, and my brothers and sisters-in-law in China. And bless and forgive the soul of my niece. Ya Allah, grant my family in China patience, steadfastness, healing, constancy at this busy time, and also to my beloved wife. Ya Allah, make things easier for them, and make good come out of what has been a terrible tragedy. O Allah, shower your special blessings upon my mum, grant her to be in the best of health and well-being, grant her your divine protection, grant her success in every good thing which she sets her heart and mind to. Grant her the best of this life and the best of the hereafter. O Allah, bless my brother and my sister and all my nieces and nephews. Grant them to all be under your divine protection and blessings, and your divine support. O Allah, shower your special blessings upon my beloved wife Fiona and her 3 children, Sophia, Athena and Elizabeth. Grant her family to be blessed. Grant her family to be forgiven for any mistakes and sins they must make. Grant us to always be under your divine guidance and support, and of service to you, Ya Allah, and to your creation. Oh, Allah, forgive us for our many weaknesses, shortcomings. Oh Allah, grant us, actually Allah, thank you for your manifold blessings. You bless us so much. And many of the blessings we all walk past every day, we all forget about, take for granted. All people do. Allah, forgive us for this. And we thank you. Even if we are nowhere near as appreciative as we should be, or nowhere near as thankful as we should be. Allah, forgive us. Ya Allah, we call upon always your rahmah. Oh Allah, grant our family to always be in good health, physically, mentally and spiritually. Grant my children to be successful and never to stray too far from the path, and to swiftly return back to it. Oh Allah, bless all of my friends, especially those friends who've been with me through everything, Ya Allah. Especially Sheikh Robin and Nisha and their families. And bless Robin's mother, and raise her station in paradise, Ya Allah, and his father. Oh Allah, bless Sheikh Amran and his family, Sheikh Sharaz and his family, Sheikh Abdul Hamid and his family, Sheikh Hisham Kabani and his family, Sheikh Adnan Kabani's soul, Ya Allah. Bless Sheikh Bukhari's soul, raise his station in your divine presence. Oh Allah, bless one of the Sheikh Nazim soul, raise his station in your divine presence, and bless his son and bless their whole family, Ya Allah. Oh, Allah, bless all my friends. Ya Allah, also bless people in Indonesia at the moment who have suffered a terrible disaster. Make things easier for all of the families that have been affected. Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Relieve us from this curse of terrorism. Relieve us from such disasters, Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Bless all my friends, however they're connected to me, whether through personal friendships, through the Association of British Muslims, through Naqshbandi, tariqat, and Adult Ulama, my various interfaith and interfaith networks, the University of Birmingham Chaplaincy. Allah bless all of these networks as well, everybody who's involved in them. However anyone is connected to me, Allah make this as a means of connection between them and my sheikhs, and through my sheikhs and their sheikhs through to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu and your divine presence. Make this a channel through which blessings may flow, guidance may flow, support may flow. Make things easier for all of them. Ya Allah, bless my friend Ishmael in Africa and grant him renewed health and well-being. Grant him healing from all his illnesses, Ya Allah. Be your will. And bless my friend Hannah and grant her renewed health, strength. Grant her to always be in good strength, Ya Allah. Healthy, successful also in her careers, in all her life, Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Bless everyone in our human family. Forgive us, Ya Allah. Forgive everyone in our human family for our many shortcomings. And we seek your blessing, even though we're not deserving of it. And we've got nowhere else to turn, Ya Allah. And we ask that you turn our hearts towards you and grant us some guidance, wisdom, good inspirations within the hearts of everyone in our human family, so we can all go forward in a positive and a blessed way, and build great societies that are beneficial for everybody, and for all the other communities of life that we share this planet with. Ya Allah, inspire us towards good, and forgive us all. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. سيد ربي والسلام على جميع أنبيائه ومرسلين وعلى كل أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم آمين. إلى حضرات النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وأصحابه الكرام وإلى أنبياء وإلى أولياء قصدني روحي شاه بوهيدين نقشبند وعبد الويس البكاوي وإلى شيخ عبد الله فايز الداغستاني وإلى زندبية وإلى صوفي عبد الله وإلى مولانا الشيخ نازم وإلى مولانا الشيخ هشام وإلى الشيخ أدانك بدر الدين وإلى غوستو وإلى الشيخ بادشاه وإلى الشيخ حبيب الله وإلى الشيخ داود رسوين وإلى الشيخ محمد الديل وإلى الشيخ نوكباني وإلى صيوي سردين وصديقيون. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم. I'm going to close it there today because it's getting rather late here, and we'll all be going to bed soon. If you're in the UK, I wish you all a very good evening. probably perhaps next week or the week after, I will actually be doing these zikrs after Asr, so they will finish before Maghrib. It's not the traditional way. The traditional way is to do them after Maghrib, but this was in places in the world that didn't have British summertime and British days in summertime, and Maghrib at 9 o'clock at night. So I think we will do it after Asr. This is what I usually do until the days start to grow shorter again in the autumn. So probably either 6 or 6:30. I was originally planning to do it around that time today, but I was a bit tired, and I've also had a bit of a busy day as well. So I look out for it anyway. And I also will be doing my Friday reflections tomorrow, inshallah. But tonight I will wish you all a good evening if you're in the UK or nearby, and wherever else you are in the world. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace be with you and your families and your friends and your communities. Don't forget, if you find these videos useful and broadcasts useful, please remember to subscribe to my Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching the videos, so that you can be kept up to date with the latest broadcasts. Okay, Salam alaikum.